Done. Everyone's a winner.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah, man.
Hooray!
Huzzah!
Huzzah! Oh, crikey. No, that's too much. Let's just scale it back now. Scale it back just a bit. Just a bit.
Hooray.
That's not... Thank you. That's the level. That's the level. Jeb, I can't deal with you when you're like this. You need to scale it back.
You scale it back.
Those sausages have changed you.
Hello there, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Football Manager Therapy. I'm your host, Rich Owens, and joining me this week, we have my wonderful friends. We have D-Boy Plays, we have Steakty Bakety, and we have, he's the fire starter, the twisted fire starter, Jeb Aroo. Jeb, how are you today, my friend?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you? That's nice. Cool. Nice one. Just stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Erik ten Hag forever. I love him. He's the greatest manager of Manchester United there has ever been. Just put it out there.
Absolutely, he is. Tactical mastermind.
Yes, I am well.
Mastermind.
I've played some FM this week, which is nice.
Hey.
Scored lots of goals on one of the nights, but we're not allowed to talk about that apparently. So it's fine.
Well, you can talk about it if you want to talk about it, but
You're probably just going to cut it from the podcast, so I'm not going to do it. Am I?
You can talk about it as much. I just won't listen.
Yeah, thought so.
I won't listen. No,
Okay.
no, nor should I. Rubbing it in.
I'm not rubbing it in. How are you, Steak? Are you feeling better?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Yeah. 2 weeks with a horrible groggy illness, which I definitely picked up from Dan when I saw him. It's his fault. Not true. Someone else at Fratton Park was.
You insisted that we open mouth kissed. Okay.
I did.
So, I just wanted to go and get like a hot dog or something, but you insisted.
And I was surprised at the reach of your tongue, to be honest. So
yeah, many are.
Rich, why is D talking? I asked Steak.
Jeb, I've put a hat on so you didn't get confused.
Okay.
I never wear
hats to help.
I messaged Jeb before we started the podcast saying it's okay. Stakey's wearing a hat this week, so we can tell.
Right, okay.
Oh no!
I see. Yeah.
Oh no! But apart from that,
like identifying football shirts, so we know who they are as well.
Yeah, I mean, three of us have taken that very seriously this week.
Sorry, give me a sec.
Yeah.
Fine. We're all going to put colours on. It's fine. I'll do it. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, it's Jeb. I thought it was somebody else.
There you go.
I was very confused for a minute there. Very confused for a minute. There we go. See, continuity. For the audio listeners, nothing happened then. So nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Really
D, aside from just passionately kissing Steakty Bakety when you saw him a couple of weeks ago, how have you been, mate? Are you well?
I'm very well. I'm very well, thank you. I'm going to address the elephant, the mildly small elephant in the room. Obviously, your fantastic football team beat my football team at the weekend. So I'm bringing it up. Fully deserved win for Sheffield Wednesday. We played like absolute pond water, and it's very, very, very well done from your boys. Barry Bannon tried an audacious overhead kick at one point in the game, and I thought at this point was someone's, all right, no need. Oh, he's brilliant. Audio listeners, he's got a Bannon shirt on.
There you go. For that reason and that reason only.
Yeah, that's valid. Lovely goals from. I'd say I feel like 3 of the 5 goals very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Liked Josh Windas's Van Persie-esque header.
Mm-hmm.
Moat scored an absolute beaut for us as well. Managed to think over your keeper, but yeah, Wednesday won. I was sad for I postponed my Saturday stream because it was an early kickoff, and I was sad for the whole stream. So there we go.
This is how I felt 2 Mondays ago after our match.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm looking. This is why I asked pre-pod if Pompey had played Sheffield United, because if they do and you beat Pompey, then it's the nice sort of everybody's better than everyone and we all win.
It's consistency, isn't it?
Have you played Everton yet, Jeb? Have Liverpool played Everton?
that's already written.
Exactly. So you get to enjoy that.
It'd be a 0-0 draw because Everton will put 15 men behind the ball. It's always happens.
Mm-hmm. It's a tactic. It's a tactic. It's dodgeball, but it's going to work. It's absolutely going to work.
And there'll be a DVD released of it immediately in the Everton Club shop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's scathing, but also you feel like, is there a degree of truth to that? Who knows?
Hi, Callum.
Hi, Callum. Hi, Callum. We miss you.
Love you, buddy.
We miss you terribly. I love you. Hope you're okay.
Words.
Pal.
Hope he's feeling better because he's been ill this week as well.
Yeah.
He's also been poorly. Everyone's been open mouth kissing. That's the problem.
Yeah, true.
I've been healthy, so I've cleared up.
I was going to say, who's been kissing my eyes?
I sneak
my
in
eyes
the
have been
night.
poorly this week. It's been really annoying.
I sneak in. I come round and I've got like 2 handfuls of dry food and one for Cash, one for Mimi. They let me in, and I just over your little pillows. And off I go again into the night.
For audio listeners, I don't know what that's going to mean. But if someone can call the police for me, thank you.
Off I go. It's causing havoc in my marriage, I'll be honest with you. But I'm like, no, it's worth it. I've got to commit to it.
It's part of your job on the pod. You've got to go around kissing people's eyes.
It's what happens. I get home and my wife's there. It's like, you've been out kissing podcast eyes again, haven't you? I'm like, no, I've just been driving around for 4 hours. Don't know what you're talking about. It's like, I can smell the eyes on you. And then we have a big argument. But apart from that, yeah, I'm well. apart from that, I'm great. It's been a lovely weekend. My football team won a game of football yesterday. I don't know if that's come up yet. It was ever so nice. Dee and I were corresponding during the game, and bless him, sent me some tweets. And I'm not joking. Within about 2 seconds of Wednesday scoring what turned out to be the winning goal, there was a knock on my door and there was a delivery of football shirts. And I was like, well, it's just meant to be. It's just meant to be. They timed it perfectly. Almost like, I feel like he was sat outside in his little delivery van, just waiting. It's like, oh, they're playing now. I'll surprise him. I'll make his day. And bless him, he did. He did. He really did.
Wish West Brom delivered.
I know. Oh no. Furious.
I'm not too unhappy. It's fine.
They're going to deliver. They'll deliver you a championship title by the end of the season. You'll be fine. This is just a blip. Just a blip in your season.
What would go well with liver? Like as a sauce.
Ooh. Tough question.
It's got to be something thick.
Yeah. What are you pairing with your liver?
Custard. Bird custard.
Meaty. Something sort of meaty.
Thomas Gravison?
Ryan Gravenberch? The best
Ryan
Gravenberch?
Yeah.
Cool.
Joe Cocker, the gravel-voiced crooner?
Maybe.
Maybe. So what you're saying is if you're served liver, you want it to be served to you by Joe Cocker wearing a Ryan Gravenberch Liverpool shirt?
Yeah. A jug of Bisto.
With a delicious jug of Bisto.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. A delicious jug of Bisto gravy. This podcast is not brought to you by Bisto Gravy. Answer my DMs.
Yeah.
I was very polite.
When do the polite messages start turning into like borderline threats for response? Like, listen, Mr. Bisto.
Second message.
Yeah, probably.
Listen, Bisto, I'm a very busy man. Okay. Listen, I've got Nor on the phone. They're constantly ringing me. I'm not interested in them. No interest in Nor.
They've got that know-how though, haven't they? So
they've got the know-how, but no,
exactly.
I don't want it. I don't want it. I want delicious. I want Bisto. That's
Steve Bisto, speak to us.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Cheers, Steve Bisto.
Also a vegan version for steaky things.
Yeah. Bisto is...
You work out that one. It's called the steak bake. He's also vegan. Work that one out yourself. Yeah.
Hey, red Bisto is vegetarian. Might even be
Yeah,
It's
same
true.
thing. Same thing.
Fundamentally the same thing. Not zero suffering involved. It's just a smaller amount. Can we not compromise? Can we not compromise here? Is that? Come on now. Got to have a little bit. That's where the flavour is.
What's your opinion on giant frogs, particularly ones in Japan?
Love them.
That's a bold question.
Love them.
Do you know what? I only like them when there's context behind them being somewhere. If they're just somewhere for the sake of being somewhere, I think it's a bit daft, realistically speaking. But if they're there for a good reason, I am 100% in on it. Jeb, why do you ask?
I just heard something about a giant frog in Japan wearing a Football Manager t-shirt. It's,
That sounds weird. Weird. What, some kind of like Tokyo game show?
Yeah. It's definitely not Miles, because Miles said he expressively wasn't going there. Miles is quite diminutive in stature. Don't know if you're aware, but yeah. And this frog is quite small.
Is it quite a small frog?
It's not small frog. It's a small giant frog, should I say?
Small giant frog. Yeah.
Medium frog.
Yeah.
In regular like frog scale, massive. But in terms in the context of massive frogs, actually quite small. Yeah. But yeah, very cool. So it's happened. It's FM25 is at the time of recording, which is Sunday evening on the 29th of September. FM25 is at the Tokyo Game Show, which Miles swore blind he wasn't going to go to, and if he did, definitely wasn't going to wear a frog costume. So that's exciting, isn't it? Because you know what that means? It suddenly feels like it's happening. It suddenly feels like FM25 is happening quite soon. Because it's I don't know if you all feel the same way as me. It's been a bit of a weird. I think just because it got announced very, very early. I think it's been in everyone's collective consciousness for quite a long time now, and it's not like a regular FM release because they're like, oh, FM24 or FM23 is coming out, and oh, here's all the things we're going to do some updates because they were announced 25 at the same time. Because it's just kind of it's already settled in my brain. Do you know what I mean? And it's there's not necessarily that same level of excitement there is when they just drip feed you little bits and pieces once the initial announcement comes out. But now I've actually seen something. Suddenly, I'm quite jazzed about it again. I'm suddenly very, very keen on seeing what's going on. I think again, if you've not seen the post, we'll put a couple of links in. There's somebody's dropped it on Reddit as well, a couple of pictures. Now, my initial reaction was, oh, good Lord, my PC is not going to be able to handle it because the graphics in the screenshot that's above on the TV, it looks quite incredible. But on closer inspection, the actual screenshot is just of Man City winning the Premier League last season. It's actually footage of the real thing happening, not the game. So that's a relief. Dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, not that big an upgrade graphically.
Yeah. Oh no, darling, we're remortgaging. Why? Because I need my little footballers to look more realistic than they do. So that's cool. I mean, like Dee, potential news updates, because people are also saying we're going to get some proper news within the next 24, 48 hours. This is pretty cool, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's funny because you mentioned it with FM25. There was like that announcing period, which obviously it was going to be all on Unity, and everyone got super excited. And I think, especially in recent weeks, we've kind of spoken about it on the pod as well. But there's been that little bit of drop off, and people sort of going, "Oh, it's going to be full of bugs. It's going to be rubbish. We're not going to buy it now," and people complaining about things. But with like proper fresh announcements, hopefully, I mean, like you say, we're recording on the 29th. There'll be announcements on the 30th. So Patreon members, you'll be seeing stuff. And then, when this is out in public on Tuesday, you'll know more than we do as this is being recorded. Hopefully there'll have been a nice big announcement of, some fun stuff to do with the game, like some match graphics that we get to see. There'll be some updates on anything that's new that's being added. And all of a sudden, like you say, now that there's it's being announced at the Tokyo Game Show, it's like, okay, there's the spark is back for me. Definitely. It hadn't gone fully out, but now it has reignited a lot brighter. And I'm excited to see where it's going to go. Even if it's not perfect, I'm still excited to see where it's going to go.
Absolutely.
Game.
Yeah, no, definitely.
There's a couple of helpful tweets out there as well, or hopeful tweets, as I say. So One of the FM editors has said, as soon as we hear some news, I'll have some amazing news. Hopefully he already knows that editor's going to be involved. I mean, if they got rid of that, they're going to anger quite a lot of the community on that side of things. There's no editor involved. I mean, how else do you create that team that wins 100 games a season?
Exactly.
That's what I always go. Put all your players at 20. It's fine.
I know exactly. Our friend who's a scientist is going to have to rebrand as the furious scientist. It's not,
the bored angry scientist. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to be
What's
livid.
he going to do for the first 6 months? Play the game? Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Why would you do that?
I hope so.
His first database is just the 24-25 database. And everyone's just like, oh, nice.
I've done it. Yeah,
I've done it anyway, to be fair. It's probably still good.
Absolutely it would. I think it's just even though it's just an image, isn't it? And a picture of a TV screen with some Japanese text on it above a boarding, or above an advertising board for Football Manager. It doesn't even say 25, it's just Football Manager.
I've just translated it as well.
About it again. Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I wonder what it says.
It says cancelled until 26. So.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
Good. That's what we were all hoping for. The news that's going to make everybody delighted. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And it's great if other news is coming out from people. Like I say, if FM editors saying got some news. If it's less angry tweets, that can only be a good thing as well, because it's such a massive part of the game, isn't it? It's one of the things that makes FM brilliant. It's just the modding, just the community efforts to improve things, to include features in the game or players or whatever it may be that aren't even there, and the speed at which people do it as well is nothing short of incredible. The fact that there was I think there was a fix last year for the J League on day one, like the game had been out officially for 2 hours before someone was like, "Oh, these players are missing. Don't worry, I've created them." Now they were all 4'11" in hindsight. They were all very small. 4'11", Bafétimbi Gomi, the famed Swansea striker, who was a little bit bigger than that, but it was
Just a smidge.
Just a smidge bigger. So again, it's a nice feeling though. It's nice that there's just something. Stakey, are you having seen the screenshots and having seen some frogs and having seen a few bits and pieces, just knowing that it's coming? Like, how are you feeling towards it? Are you excited? Are you hyped? Are you ambivalent? Do you just not care?
Yeah, no, I think it's really important that they're releasing some stuff now, because it's got to that stage where obviously we had a lot of the announcement last year when FM24 was announced. Like, we knew that the women's football was coming in FM25 and things like that, which we initially got quite excited about. And then there was just a big spell of nothing. And the longer there is of nothing, the more like opinions you get and people trying to make up their own things that they think are going to happen. And those kind of Chinese whisper effect through all the communities on Twitter and things like that and Reddit. And then you get these opinions bubbling to the surface that are not as positive as they could be. We all know that this game has so much potential, and it's probably going to be pretty good. Like, it might not be as polished as FM24 because it's the new engine and things like that. We all know it's going to be pretty good. So it's nice to start to see the official things come out so that we can get back on track and start thinking about what actually is going to be an FM25 and not complain about the things that they've removed for the benefit of the game anyway. It's nice to see that they're going to start to post things out now. And I think this is the start of that kind of season of announcements that you get just before we get the beta.
Fingers crossed.
I like the waited until Lelujo goes on holiday, so he has to do really awkward service station posts again. Which I think he had to do last year. I think he's going on holiday again. So yeah, hopefully all the announcements while he's on the M1, he has to pull over, do it from a WH Smith, or like when somebody says you can't do it here, so he has to move to Starbucks or somewhere like that. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Maybe the toilets. Maybe just the toilets. Yeah.
Yeah, just updates from the toilets. Yeah. There you go. 5 minutes of FM speculation, and then 15 minutes of footage of him just being removed from a service station on the M1 for filming in the toilets. Don't you understand? This is important. Oh, dearie me. So yeah, it's a weird one because the structure to the announcements isn't, as because of the delay of the release for FM25, the rate at which we're getting announcements. As I say, it's pushed back. Hopefully, if we're going to start getting some official bits and pieces from the 30th, I mean, we're still I think they were saying November 26th as a release date. I think that was the give or take, weren't they? So
Yeah,
that still gives us, we're still 2 months away. So there's definitely still time for a beta to be dropping. So again, I think it might just be the fact that because they've delayed it a little bit longer, there would be the opportunity for them to now if they're going to start on the 30th, to start really funneling that information through on quite a consistent basis. So it wouldn't be too wild of a thought process to say, hey, maybe we're going to get daily or updates on the daily or every couple of days, just because there's so much to dive into with it. Brand new games, say brand new engine, women's football, all the new features, which again, as I say, because of the delays, people start to forget. There's time to talk about it, and there's still plenty of time to get everybody excited for the release of like a new game. It's quite frequent these days. You see new games being released, and you're like, I had absolutely no idea that was A, in development, or B, anywhere close to being released. And suddenly it's just there, and you go, oh, I did not realize that it was this close. There aren't that many games that do a full 2-month release, promo before it comes out. So I think, as you say, it's still plenty of time to get the information out, plenty of time to get excited. I'm getting excited now just seeing a photo of a frog. Why is the frog there? Can we just address that temporarily? Why is there a frog? Why is there a frog? There has to be a reason there's a frog there in a Football Manager shirt. No? Or am I?
I mean, I'm googling now. Japan and frogs.
So
is there a relationship between
to follow
them?
it up? Musterman has actually responded to the frog tweet. It's the mascot of Ahime FC. The equivalent that Musterman points out is having the West Brom boiler making the FM release.
Oh, get him down there. Get him down. True football heritage, that.
Yep, I hope he will be.
So that's absolutely sensational. Wow. There you go. See, context. Context is key. Yeah, right. Let's get the mascot of a not particularly well-known or popular Japanese football club to turn up and start promoting this. Good. Yeah,
I guess we all know it goes wrong if that sunshine thing appears from Scotland. I can't remember what it was called.
Oh,
the command one.
Yeah. Yes, that's all.
Yeah, it was the Killy one, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We all know we're in trouble if that arrives to make the announcement.
That's what I want. I want a series of the worst mascots to turn up to publicize it. I really don't think that's asking for too much, because
that mascot is a fever dream. Like, it is my nightmare. Like, that keeps me up at night sometimes. That would be perfect to announce Football Manager.
The frog being a mascot is slightly less romantic than the answer that Google gave me, because frogs in Japan are symbolic of good fortune and fertility. Apparently.
Oh
no, it's just the mascot of.
No, it's just a mascot of a football club. So maybe that's maybe that links into a feature that hasn't yet been announced for. So right, do you want a sun in game? Well, you're gonna have to work for it this year. Let's get the frog involved.
Get the frog involved.
Me. Goodness gracious.
Can I just put a correction in? It's the Partick Thistle mascot called Kingsley.
Kilmarnock.
Kilmarnock is quite troubling anyway, because I don't know what the hell it is, but yeah.
Okay. Yes. Apologies to all the Kilmarnock fans listening, who, to my knowledge, are friend of the podcast, friend of the people, Alan the Rogue.
Yep. That's it. Yep.
Yep, that's it.
That's the only one. Yep.
That's that we've checked. Well, if Alan tells a friend, and then they tell a friend, then they tell two friends, then they tell two friends. Before you know it, we're massive in Kilmarnock. So
yeah,
come on.
It's not. Yeah, I was going to say just looking up the Kilmarnock mascot. So it's a squirrel. There you go. That's what it's supposed to be. Then on my search, I've also come across Kisaramaru, who is a raccoon dog with a Ferris wheel for a head.
What?
Sorry, there was too much information in that sentence. Sorry. What? A raccoon dog with a Ferris wheel for a head.
Yeah, it's a mascot of an amusement park in Japan, but yeah.
That's incredible.
Actually,
Right. So we take the head off. Yep. And then what do we replace it with? Ferris wheel. Yeah. The dog dies, the ride breaks down. Come to the theme park. That's marketing 101.
The best part is this podcast comes out on Tuesday, so everyone will be completely distracted by all the amazing announcements, and nobody will pay attention to this part where we're talking about the mascot with a Ferris wheel for a head.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ferris wheel mascot head. Yeah, that's. I really want to go to that theme park now, though. I take it all back. The advertising works. I'm clearly very invested. Very invested now. Yeah, absolutely superb. Good. Look, plenty to be excited about. Let's put it this way: plenty to be excited about. And next time we get together to talk about it, there's going to be so much stuff to unpack, and all the things that we've just wildly speculated about are going to be true. Like the Partick Thistle mascot turned up, the West Brom boiler turned up. Everything was absolutely fabulous, and a great time was had by all. Wonderful. Keep your eyes peeled. It'll be, of course, it's going to be all over social media over the next week or so, isn't it? Is when these announcements start to roll out, or deep dives into features. It's going to be a good time for everybody, and let's all get our little excited faces on, shall we? It's going to be marvelous. Good. FM25. It's coming. It's going to be here very, very soon. On the subject of, I suppose, in a roundabout kind of way, Jeb posed a very interesting question to us earlier on this afternoon about a feature of Football Manager, a feature that I think it seems to be quite diversive, really. It seems to be one of those things because, as with a lot of different elements of Football Manager, there are different ways that people play the game, and we always say on this podcast, there's no right or wrong way of playing Football Manager. If you're having fun playing Football Manager, the way you are playing it is the right way to play it. Absolutely, that stand by that. I would die on that hill. However, one of the things that you don't necessarily hear people talk about too much, and it's one of the only things that people don't really tend to have that much of an opinion on, whether it's, makes or breaks the FM experience, are press conferences. It's not the kind of thing that you tend to see people having too much of an opinion on one way or the other. People will say, no, you can't play FM unless you're playing it on 90-minute real-time matches because you're not a proper Football Manager then. People don't say, well, no, you have to do every single press conference over the course of the save because otherwise you're not really getting that Football Manager experience. I think one of the things that puts people off them are the questions do tend to be a little bit repetitive. It does happen. The more time you spend doing them, the more repetitive they come, unless, like a certain member of the community did when they set a brilliant challenge earlier in the year, how quickly you can rattle through a press conference. You don't see them if you just click it as quickly as humanly possible on the second most positive answer. I mean, Jeb, what would you like to see the press asking you in these circumstances? What are you angling for in terms of a improvement in the press conference experience?
I don't think it's going to be an improvement, but do you know this marketing trend? I think Curry started it, and it was very clever. It was very funny, where they did the Gen Z promotion. It was the old guy saying Riz and serving things like that, and then everyone's done it, everyone, and it's kind of really boring. And to be fair, the guy from Curry's did it really well. I don't think any of the others really did it that well. So maybe something along those lines, because Football Manager are programming it in around where this trend is. So it's just like, if your squad was a Spotify playlist, would it be Top Hits or Discover Weekly? Which players drop in bangers every week? I don't know. It's like, I've no idea. I've got a feeling that they might just throw one of these horrible Gen Z slangy things in. Speaking like an old man that I am. So yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Go on, say it. I want because I want to have to mark this podcast as a. If you say one of these Gen Z terms, I'm going to mark the podcast as having explicit content this week, and I really want to click that button when I upload it. Go on, which one, Jeb? Which of these terrible Gen Z words?
I'll go for the ones that I don't understand. Based and Riz, I think we'll go with.
Okay.
Hi, Mal, if you're listening. Nobody knows what you're on about ever.
Mal gets it. Mal's down with the kids, or as they call it these days.
Yeah, which player is serving 0 ping and which one's lagging hard out there? I mean, I actually understand that one.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyone need to take the L? So,
There you go. That's what you want from the press conferences.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me about the results. Ask me about my mewing streak. That's what the kids are saying these days. I work in a school. I hear all sorts of nonsense on a daily basis, and it deeply upsets me. Which tactics are very demure and very mindful? These are the questions. Oh, now I've said it out loud, I feel dirty.
Which of your strikers is giving main character energy,
Yeah, we've had the scout report back. It's just based purely around aura. Just admit you if you're saying people like, just admit you fancy them. Just admit you want to give them a little cuddle. It's fine. Just admit to that. It's an okay thing to say. When Arsenal signed a Calafiori, I just saw the amount of people I saw. It was Calafiori and aura was just my timeline. And then just admit you want to kiss him. He's a very handsome man, and that's fine. It's okay to say.
Absolutely.
More like Califiora. Wait, no, that's got even worse. Sorry, no, Jesus,
not that
one. Okay, now it's become unsavory.
No, he's not even a leader, right? Anyway.
Oh, good. There you go. I think it would be nice.
He's got leadership of 8. It don't work. Right, it's cool. It's fine. Covered it.
It's done. Oh, Steak, drag us out of this whole pit,
I'm going to go on mute.
Goodness me. Well, yeah, let's move on from that. I would like in press conferences, rather than just standing there and being like, slay, I would personally rather they asked you about like the team that you're coming up against a bit more specifically, rather than just being a general question of your form against this team is this, and you won the last 3 times that you played. Are you going to win again? I would like them to go into a bit more detail. I'd be like, I want them to say something along the lines of, Man United are a high pressing team historically against high pressing teams. You have struggled. Are you going to make any tactical changes? Here's some formation options that you might choose as an answer to the question, and be a little bit more in depth with, rather than just yes or no. I want to hear you say things that you might not necessarily want to reveal to the press all the time. Maybe that will affect how the team play against you as well. Maybe if you said, oh, yes, we're going to play 4-2-3-1 this time, Man United might change up their tactic a little bit and change the way it goes. Press conferences need to have a little bit more of an effect on the game, rather than just the morale of the specific player that you're talking about. That's the only time you really see too much. It doesn't even really affect the fan opinion of you, I don't think. Like, I've got immaculate fan opinion on one of my saves because I'm doing okay, but I've never spoken to the media. And the entire save that I've done, I've not spoken to the media apart from saying, hello, I'm the manager. That is it. I've just skipped it every single time. But it doesn't seem to affect the fans. Whereas I think in real life, if you didn't do any press conferences, your fans would be like, well, I don't know about this manager. I want to hear more from him. I want to see this. Maybe the press conferences could affect it a little bit more. That's what I would like to see, just a bit more of it meaning something.
100% agree. I think if you look at Big Ange at Spurs, one of the things that like draws me to him as a manager, because look, I'll be brutally honest with you, prior to him joining Spurs, like I knew he was doing well at Celtic, but then that's everybody who's ever managed Celtic for the last 20 years. You expect, if you get the Celtic job, you're probably going to win a league. Stevie Gerrard might fluke one with Rangers in the middle, but generally speaking, it's going to be Celtic. He turned up at Spurs. Within a couple of weeks, I'm like, I love this man. He's wonderful because he's got that charisma. He's got that W Riz, hasn't he? Hey, see, we're all doing it now. We're all doing it. It's funny. It's the first time he did a press conference and he called the press chat. I was like, oh, he's one for me. I like him. I like what he's about. But there should be an impact, shouldn't there? And I really like what you're talking about there, about the impact on, like you talk about, Man United are going to press you high. What are you going to do about that? What are you going to do? So, I'm going to play a 4-4-2 then, actually, because I'm going to exploit the flanks and try and get a bit of space, move around them, exploit the space out wide. And then Man United go, oh, God, they're going to do that. Well, we better start trying to figure out how to combat that. And then you go, I'm not going to do that at all. I'm going to play a narrow 4-2-2-2-2-2-2-2-2 and just bomb up the middle. And then they're going to go, oh, God, we don't know what's going on. But he lied. That would be a very, very cool thing if you could play, essentially playing mind games in press conferences with AI managers that actually work.
Yeah, because there's a little bit of it, isn't there? Like if you get a red card and then say that the refs are terrible, the other manager will say, don't know what this guy's on about. And then it gets to that stage where they don't have a good opinion of you, or they have a very high opinion of you. But that doesn't really affect what happens.
No. No.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I have absolutely no interest in building a relationship with a certain reporter from a certain fictional newspaper, because that relationship with that reporter isn't going to have any discernible impact on my save, on what happens over the course of it. It's not going to have an impact on my transfers. It's not going to have an impact on my results. It's not going to have an impact on anything. So that side of it, although it's getting into this levels upon levels upon levels upon levels of immersion, isn't it? Because isn't it nice how we've all, you watch Ted Lasso, here's all the press, they all really, really like him, isn't that a lovely thing? That's nice, but that's a TV show that isn't real, and those press interactions don't really have any impact on a grander scale within your save. So I completely agree. It would be a lot nicer if there was some form of like direct impact for what you are saying and how that can impact future results. That would be lovely, no?
Definitely. Trent Krim, the Independent. Get him in. You need to build a relationship with Trent Krim. Come on.
Exactly.
Take him out
there
for
you
a
go.
curry and
take him out for a dead hot curry, and then everyone's really happy, aren't they? Yeah, that's the move.
Spoilers, guys.
I've still not seen it. I mean, I say I've not seen it. I think I'm watching it. I'm watching it on Instagram Reels at the moment. Like it just pops up on my algorithm about once every 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, this is the next 30 seconds of episode 3. That's fantastic. Give it a fortnight, and I'll watch the next 30 seconds. I'm going to be through it by about 2030 at this rate. So can't wait. Can't wait. Dee, are you a press conference official? I know obviously you challenged people to click through them as quickly as humanly possible. Is there, let's flip it around, anything about press conferences around that side of things that you're actually kind of into?
Not really. I mean, as far as the only like press conferences at the moment for me, literally, I even still now, I'm not as detailed as it was back when I set the challenge of who can speed run a press conference. But I do make a joke of like, all right, I'm going to keep it going. And the only reason I've stuck with it is because it's quite handy on a journeyman, because you can get turned down from jobs because you're bad with the press. That's the only reason I've kept doing it. Same with like praising players. I do that to kind of keep the players happy. I do that and play for set pieces to make sure I'm kind of covered for other jobs. But yeah, so yeah. But the only reason that exists is because the press conferences at the moment are kind of dull. The something that would maybe jazz it up a little bit for me, I enjoy games like Baldur's Gate and games where what you say has an effect on the next thing that is said to you. Whereas these are very, at the moment, the press conferences are very just sort of lists. It's like, you could break a record today if you go 5 matches unbeaten. Yep, cool. Last time you played this team, you lost 3-0. What happened? And it's very formulaic, and that's why we tend to not pay attention to them. However, if there was an answer that you gave, and then there was a follow-up question immediately related to your answer that actually had, so the answer you give has a pay-on effect to the next question you're asked, and you almost get like a burst of questions instead of these sort of headline questions just about big things, and but maybe there's like strings of questions that all link, maybe makes it a bit more engaging. One other thing that maybe would help a little bit in that aspect as well is that responses to the questions that, again, tying it in with like my enjoyment of things like Baldur's Gate 3, in that game, if you're playing a character class, so for example, because it's very Dungeons and Dragons-y, if you're playing a bard or a druid, you can give a response that makes sense for a druid to say. It would be good in something like Football Manager if your response lined up with your manager's strengths. So if you are a disciplinarian, there is a response that's maybe a little bit more Roy Keane-esque, like when he went on about the whole, like, was it Roy Keane's just had a baby? He's like, well, he's not had a baby, his wife did. So I'm expecting him to be here, the next, I'm expecting him to be here tomorrow. Giving responses like that line up with your personality, like you say, with someone like Ange, his responses are fun. Something that sort of brings out a personality more that's based off your manager's attributes in some way could just make the press conferences just a little bit more engaging. But yeah, it's really tough at the moment because they are, like you say, they're so cyclical. They're so same things over and over again. It does need jazzing up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that. Rather than a manager profile, I want a character sheet for my manager. Yeah. That's what I'd love. That'd be lovely, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Really get into the role play element of Football Manager. That'd be
It'd be the ultimate dream for me. having to roll your strength. Literally having to, how strong could your manager throw his water bottle? Well, you've got a -3. So you launch it at a player and it's like you've thrown paper at them. Like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Rich, not to be extra, but if your tactics were a TikTok first trap, would we get fire emojis or instant unfollow? Should we go with that?
Oh dear.
Oh, goodness gracious me.
The audio listeners, Jebbaroo was removed from the podcast.
Yes.
Steak, I'm so glad you got the perfect voice for it. So good.
What are you feeling, Rich? What would be something that would excite the press conferences for you?
No, again, for me, just direct impact on gameplay. I think that's the thing. You raised a very good point, actually, Dee. Yourself there. It's when you're doing the job interviews. It's the only time that it ever worries me. I've been fortunate this year in the sense that my safe has involved me moving around a lot. I've had to have multiple interviews. I've already failed one. Benfica, hate you so much. But I'm glad you cursed. Glad you cursed. Awful club, awful people. But apart from that, it's come up in most press conferences that I've had. It's like, oh, you don't not have a good relationship with the press. I'm like, yeah. Has anybody asked? Really? Is that going to affect anything? Like, is that important to you? Like, if I'm going to win you a title within 3 years, but if I don't talk to the press very often, is that the deal breaker? It's the worry is always in the back of my head because of what happened to Kev last year with his save, not being able to get jobs because he wasn't playing for set pieces in his tactic. So if it's the kind of thing that's going to make an actual impact on successes, especially if you've got a save, like a journeyman kind of save where you're moving around quite a lot, then I suppose there's more impetus to do them. But at the moment, there really isn't, because it's just the kind of thing that you can always seem to work around in your job interviews. So again, if there was direct impact from what you're saying, the results, or the results of your press conferences from what you're saying to people, then absolutely. I always really, really used to like when I do them, when you used to have the option to put in your additional comments into the press conferences. Just seeing what you can get away with, really. And as it turns out, anything but swear words. So again, you can use those Gen Z terms, you can use those Gen Alpha terms in those press conferences. You can accuse people of being chalant, because apparently that's what the kids say now. So he was too chalant. That was his problem. That's what let him down. Baby Bronca Hio Riz.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're talking. I see what you're saying. I think
now you're speaking my language.
Yeah, exactly. I understand all of that. Based. Right, yeah, sure. Right. D raised the point. I think it is those bits that affect the gameplay as well. And then I think is a good example. Maybe like they don't press you on players enough in press conferences like they would like they do in real life. So like if you've got a player that's not performing, just keep asking questions. I remember anytime Andy Carroll was involved or was in the squad and didn't play for Liverpool, it was like, why is Andy Carroll not playing? Why is he not there? And Kenny Dalglish getting angry like at it. It was like, just stop asking about it. And I think pushing on that a little bit more and how that affects them. So if you actually do play that player, or is just like, well, they've been asking about me in the press conference, why aren't you doing anything about it? I guess the issue that SI will have with that is the same as where they can't make anyone to have a negative personality that's a real person. So you'd have to wait until new gens come in for that. But yeah, I think it's something they can definitely push on. The only one that they do is just like if you don't answer a question, they just ask it again. It's like the public want to hear a proper answer from you, and it's just like I'm still not saying it.
Yeah, it seems to be one of the things that comes up, especially I've noticed it against it's the repetition of the question, especially when you're unemployed on FM, not in real life, just for context. How many jobs have you applied for today? Why haven't you done the washing up? Questions like this that come up quite a lot. You're nearly 40. It's time for you to leave home. These are questions that people ask you sometimes when you're unemployed. Not me. I'm just ignore them. I just click no comment. But again, when you're unemployed on FM, you get asked the same questions over and over and over and over again. Like, for example, there's no way of, as far as FM is concerned, there's no way of leaving a club for good reasons. There's no positive, I had a great time, but it was time to move on. Like, I love the club and I wish them all success in the future. Like, when you've left a club, and I've had it every club that I've left and I've had to go on a job hunt for, like a prolonged job hunt this year, you get the press returns like, oh, I want to ask you a couple of questions. And again, if that impacted the jobs you were going to get moving forwards, but it doesn't seem to. They're like, oh, why did you leave your last club? And you've always got to be like, well, it's just time to move on. I was having a terrible time there, or they're awful people. And I hate, like, there's no way of saying I had a wonderful time at that club and I love that club, but the time was right for me to move on and face a new challenge. You can't do that. You can't positively talk about a former employer, which seems like a really weird thing, especially on a game like FM. Like, it seems like a really, really weird thing. So that aspect of it, again, it's so formulaic. And again, it might have been on that for a really long time because I'm a person who, you know, very publicly has never really done journeyman saves before this year. So normally my saves are one club saves. So, or, you know, so I don't really have the opportunity to like field those questions. So I don't know if that's been the case for a very long time. I'd assume they probably have. But yeah, it's that it's the creative options, you know, what you can actually say just seems to be very, very formulaic at the moment as well. So again, just any kind of addition to that, any kind of, you know, improvements to that would be doubly Riz. So I'd be delighted with that. Absolutely delighted with it. Jeb, what have you started? I'm so angry with you.
I've started nothing.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, I've just got mid character energy.
I hate everything about this. I just want everyone to know.
Are you not enjoying my new flex?
Oh, God. Good. Which I suppose could, in a roundabout way, could I suppose lead us on to the next question of the episode.
Oh, really? Before we move on, one thing I would like to say about
please do.
Press conferences is having been in a lot of them in real life, most of them are quite boring and they are quite same question. Is this player still injured? Are you looking forward to the game this weekend? You know, are you happy with the team? Is there any more news? Most press conferences are like that. So it would be interesting to have a kind of like significance rating. Like, your assistant manager, like, this is a really important press conference. You should attend it because they're going to ask you about your job and you're in danger of being sacked. You need to attend. Or in the other one, I could probably do this one. They're just going to ask us the same questions as always. So giving a little bit of a assistant manager, I recommend you should do this kind of thing would add a bit of realism for me as someone that's been in the journalism setting before. Yeah, that would add that, I think. Just thought I'd tag that on the end before we move on.
I like that.
Absolutely. You should also get a scale on your manager reputation. So if you're 5-star, you can just ban people from your press conferences. No, like the way Sir Alex Ferguson banned the BBC from asking him any questions for like 15 years. Like, go that way.
Yeah, if you're a legend, you can do what you want, right?
I don't want to chat to Jeff Shrews. Does anyone ever? No, thought not.
Not even his family. Can't
chase him around the house with the microphone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
trying to get a word out of them. What do you want for dinner?
Oh, perfect. There you go. Good. I think there's some food for thought there. Obviously, again, we know that one of the biggest things, like I say, people are screaming out for AI, you know, or AI-led press conferences, and Miles has openly said it's not the kind of thing they're going to be able to facilitate. But anything on that scale that we've talked about, if they would turn around and say, look, you know what, we've revamped press conferences purely in the sense that things you say in those conferences are going to have a direct impact on your relationships with players, your performances on the pitch, you know, how the team set up against you. I'm all in. Keep it exactly the same as it is. If it has that impact, perfect. I'm all in on it. That would be perfect. But we just don't know. We don't know. Maybe that's going to be the first news report we get tomorrow on the 30th of September. 2 hours on press conferences. Yes, imagine that. Something else that this is my question. I've also asked questions this week. I asked like to have a little think about something else, another Football Manager feature, which again, sometimes has a tendency to be a little bit overlooked. Some people, on the other hand, get obsessive over it, especially fighting over the same one in certain network saves. Staff roles on FM24 and on FM25. Obviously, this year, FM24, we saw the inclusion of the newest role, the set piece manager, which big fan of. Shout out Bailey Hooligan Smallwood, the greatest set piece coach in the early days of the FMT network save, and by greatest I mean only. He's absolutely phenomenal. We love you, Bailey. What a boy, what a man. Set piece coaches made it in. Obviously, with the game, the way the game is adapting, like modern football is adapting. Obviously, there's got to be scope for. There are roles that aren't included in the game that there should be scope for, and vice versa. There might be roles in the current FMs that don't necessarily have the impact that you would expect them to in terms of your backroom staff. Dee, I'm going to throw this to you, my friend. Are there any backroom roles in FM that aren't there that you would like to see included in FM25 when it comes out in November of this year?
So one that sprung to mind when you asked this, and it's to kind of help justify something in game, maybe, is some actual numbers and some people to be in your junior coaching. So having, I don't know if it would be like 2 or 3 roles that you'd maybe need. It doesn't have to be like a full thing, but just like 2 or 3 people, because I guess you'd need like a couple of actual coaches that are actually involved at that level, and then maybe a scout or 2 that are going and finding said, potential junior players for you. But just to justify the rating, or maybe to like back up, or maybe to boost the rating in some way as well. Like if you've got really good staff as junior coaches, that actually helps boost the reputation of that, instead of it just having to be okay, let's go to the board and ask them to increase our junior coaching budget. It's actually like, no, we've actually got a couple of people here that's like the head of junior coaching. You've got your head of youth development, but like a head of junior coaching, but specifically to do with like finding your players there. Something to help with that, because for the life of me, so at the moment I'm back on the med. I'm at Napoli, and I have the best head of youth development I think I could find in the game. 20s and everything. And we've got really good youth recruitment, all these things, but you still get just a list of just like E's and F's. And even now I'm like, how is this still possible now? I've maxed everything out. Everything should be great. There should be at least the worst the best player should be is a B. The worst, and just be like one player that comes through that's like, they'll probably play at this level, maybe, but they're not going to be. I'll be okay with that if instead of it just being a list of like, yeah, no, they're all rubbish. Like we failed you, and this is what we've got to offer you. It'd be nice if there was just some staff that could go, right, well, we've actually got like this person here who's actually very, very good at judging potential ability, and he's actually going to help prove that, yes, these players actually will have, potential to maybe be first team players, or at least players of your league's quality. Something along those lines would be a welcome addition from me.
Yeah, I think that, again, it's a very, very good point, isn't it? A good youth intake can be make or break in saves at the best of times, and it's. I'm thinking back now. I'm thinking all my seasons of What's the Story. I'm thinking network game. I can't remember the last time I've had some really, really top quality youth players come through my youth system. And some of these clubs, I'm meant to have some of the best youth facilities in the world. And I think I've got good coaching staff for the kids, but there just doesn't. But when the bad crops of youth players are coming through, there's no justification for it. It'd be really nice if there was that, if you had that proper back of house youth staff, and you'd get the reports. Like, why hasn't this worked? What do we need to do to improve it?
Yeah.
Because the logic would be more backroom staff with more specific roles that can come in, that can attract a better quality of player, that can make the, when they're trying to bring in players from, because it's all about the youth recruitment in the local area. Those lads that are right, our job is to go out and find the best young players in the local area that we can try and get on the books of this football club. Why are they failing to do that? What can we do to improve that? There doesn't seem to be. The game just tells you this is bad. You've had a bad time. Why have I had a bad time? I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. You're gonna no, sorry, can't help you on that one. That doesn't make any sense to me. So that would be lovely. I'd really, really like to see a little bit more in depth when it came to that kind of thing. I think it's one of the things that I've never done like a youth only save. I've never had to rely on the ute, and maybe if that was included in the game, I would be more inclined to do so.
One thing that's a real kicker is you get your youth intake, usually, especially if you play in Europe, you get it around the same time as the next Gen 50. And I always find that an absolute kicker that you get the list through that's just a string of, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I expect there to be like an A+ player in every intake. Like I say, like a B, I think like one B player is reasonable to ask for, maybe an A and then like an A+ every other time. But then you see your list come through, and again, I'm 29 years in. I don't think I've had a great youth intake, and then 2 days later I get an email going, let's have a look at what you could have won. Oh, I'm presenting to you this Azerbaijani lad he's playing for Doncaster. Isn't that great? Yeah, but Doncaster's youth intake managed to find him, and you've got these guys. So sorry Napoli, you've not done well. Yeah, infuriating.
Yeah, it's never fun, is it? No. But hey, don't we all love scouting the next Gen 50 every single season? It really is. It really, really is. I mean, Jeb, your backroom staff, is there anything you're taking in, or vice versa, anything that you're just not fussed about that's already part of it?
It's not like me to carry on a bit, is it? Vibe director and tactical drip supervisor. Let's go for that. Must be able to exploit strategic sheesh and let's go moments when the team clutches a big W. Is that too far?
I mean, you timed that just as I took a drink. I almost died. I hope you play.
Of course, I'm happy with myself. But actually, even just, I don't know. Maybe it is something that I'm not saying that's ridiculous and stupid.
No. Great, thanks, Jeb. Let's move on. Steaky.
But somebody that maybe can bring up that adaptability, somebody who will help somebody come into a new country, rather than you just going to your captain and go look after this guy, cheers, thanks, bye. Actually have like some, I don't know, like people that help settle it. No, like even like the old school 90s, like 80s, 90s, where they had to live at someone's house, and they used to, still get adverts in the paper. Can you look after our youth products when they come over here? Can you be like the surrogate mum and dad when they're over here, like look after them, make sure they do the washing and all that type of thing? Maybe something along those lines, or just something, even after they're getting rid of social media anyway, but even something like you have a social media officer that you actually have to hire that actually pushes out that thing, and that connects to the fan thing that nobody ever looks at, like all those type of things that brings it together, because that improves the reputation of your club, because you're going for those things. It's these extra little bits that you could add into the game. It might be too far and going too far away from actual Football Manager, but I think having somebody that helps foreign players in particular, or people from outside the area, come in and adapt, I think something along those lines would be good. And there was something else, and I can't remember. I think it is now just looking into the data. Basically, people who performance data analysts and data analysts that they have in the game, the transfer ones as well, terrible, absolutely terrible in the game. Like, you get them and you get them recommended to you. Oh, have a look at this guy. Oh, let's have a look how good he is at analysing data. Oh, he's got a 4 for analysing data. Why are you recommending him to me? Like, what, you like identifying staff potential of 20, and you're recommending this useless person to come work for me? I think it's those bits that need to improve. And it's also like, I don't know how many times when you go your technical director and you go, right, yeah, you go hire all the staff, and then you see who he hires or who they hire, and you're like, why have you hired him? Like, he can't do the job. Like, he is useless. Like, everyone wants those yellow lines. Like, I've got them at Sheffield United, those yellow lines of having number one in everything in coaching. Yeah, straight across the board. Yeah. And the only way to do that is to do it yourself. Never trust anyone else to do it. So it's, they need to improve them, I think. Like, if you are hiring a top-class technical director, they should be doing that job. Yeah. I don't know why it doesn't, even like having a coach who coaches coaches as well. If that's a thing, like, you have a really experienced assistant manager, your coaches should improve because they're learning under him and under yourselves, or learning under them and yourselves, should I say.
Who coaches the coaches? These are the questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, again, director of LinkedIn. That's essentially what you need, isn't it? That's the somebody to take responsibility for that aspect of it. I think, yeah, I absolutely love the, staff whose job it is to come in and help international signings settle. I think that's a really, really good shout. A long time ago, I worked in a university. I worked in higher education, and I worked in student accommodation for a very long time. And you meet a lot of people, and it's not it's not just 18-year-olds. It's adults. It's people in their mid-20s and their early 30s who have never lived in a foreign country before and have absolutely no idea. It's a really daunting thing. Like moving to the other side of the world. Don't know anybody, you've got nobody around you, you're not familiar with the way of life. And there was this wonderful team, the international team at the university I worked in. They were fantastic at it because they were just there to help people. It was integration, it was just understanding the world they suddenly found themselves in. I remember I spoke to a fella, and he came, we spoke a couple of weeks after he'd moved in, and he came to me and I was like, I'm finding it really difficult. And I was like, what's up? He said, I've never slept in a room alone before. Like, that's never happened to me. And the guy was like, he was in his early 30s. And I was like, that's okay, cool. Well, that must be a really, really weird thing for you. Let me put you in touch with a couple of other people who are, it's like, right, here's a bunch of dudes that have moved from similar kind of areas to you. Let's get you in touch and let's get you hanging out. And then that's what they did. And it just really helped them settle. And that, in a football manager context, that must be massive. Like, there should be an impact, shouldn't there? Like, if you are managing, like Burnley, and you bring in, a lad from Argentina, you bring in a lad from, the Ukraine, and suddenly you fly. Like, they shouldn't just instantly adapt to everything. It might take them, there might be a settling in period. And it's not the kind of thing that you really see replicated in the game. You don't really see, it's like, admittedly, it's been a while since you get the messages, sorry, boss, I'm feeling a bit homesick. Can I go home for a little while? That used to be a little bit more commonplace.
You literally get the failed the English test, and that's about it. Like,
yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like, and how are they telling you this? Well, hello, and if they just go, then okay, maybe you're struggling. Yeah, okay, we need to work on this. So yeah, again, that would be lovely. And you've also absolutely stolen my idea, which was going to be some form of social media manager, which admittedly they are getting rid of in FM, FM25. Yeah, FM25, they're getting rid of that. So what podcast is this? Football Manager? Is this Doom? We're a Doom podcast? But yeah, FM25, like if it was a social media manager, would be massively important because again, they've put it in the game recently, and obviously it's not going to be there in 25, but it's a part of the modern world. Everybody and everything has a social media presence, apart from Bisto, apparently. But everybody else has got one, and it's that public image, isn't it? And public image, again, that helps with reputation. Reputation then helps you improve your relationship with the board, which then you might go through a difficult series of tricky results. But if you've got that positive reputation with the fans, that then translates over to having a positive reputation with the board. It's like, well, we wanted you to finish, top 4, and you finished 17th, and you've sold off 3 best players. But you little scamp, go on, have one more season, see what you can do, you cheeky boy. Like that would be lovely. That would be really, really nice. But again, to get rid of social media, so completely pointless, isn't it? Steaky. What are you bringing to the table? What do you like? What don't you like? What do you want more of? What do you want less of? Or do you just want everything to stay the same? Because change is terrifying.
Well, I think building on what you've said about helping players settle in, I think sports psychology is such a big part of football these days. Every club has their own sports psychologist or several. And I think adding that to the game could be a really interesting idea, especially after building off what you guys were talking about last week with Jenna's survey and the things you're going into on the podcast last week. Really good episode, by the way. Check it out if you haven't already. Building on that kind of getting players to settle in more, as you mentioned, but also when players are having problems within the club, sorting those out in a slightly different way rather than just coming to talking to them and putting your arm around them and saying, it'll be fine, because that's not how we deal with things like that. Like it's not the more human way of dealing with things like that. What you got to do is you got to take them under your wing. You got to find solutions for these kind of things, and using a sports psychologist is probably the best way to do that kind of thing. If your striker is really struggling to score, perhaps it's a mentality issue. Sending them to the sports psychologist might help them get back on track scoring in upcoming games. Perhaps it will make them focus more in training. Perhaps it could even diagnose mental illnesses in your like in from your physios and things like that as well. They're struggling with ADHD. They can't focus on what's happening around them and they're distracted. They need this and it will cost this amount of money. Do you want to do this or do you want to send them to the specialist kind of thing? And I think adding that kind of side to the game, more the sports psychologist side of the game, that was just a further thought with the injury kind of thing. But yeah, I think adding that side really is huge in football right now and has been for the last maybe 10 years. So to not have that in the game at this point, I think is getting a little bit strange if they continue to not have it in the game. I think it's something that I think will happen in Football Manager at some point, sports psychology on some kind of level, even if it's just to help them with a goal scoring or to help them settle in kind of thing. But yeah, I think that would be a really interesting one.
No, absolutely. I think, you know, it's mental health is as important as physical health, isn't it? At the best of
100%.
times. And yeah, so with a game like Football Manager, again, it's real people you're dealing with. And even when it gets to the new gen stage, they're still, you know, to all intents and purposes, real human beings, real players in your world. So yeah. Plus, again, if somebody comes back, you know, you've got your club star player who's been at the club since they were 16. They've come through the youth system. They've made it all the way through to the first team. Club legend, 15 goal a season striker, breaks their leg at 30. They're out for a year. When they come back from that year out, they're going to need an arm around them. It's not just going to be a case of, right, your leg's fixed, back into training, off you go. You're going to be absolutely fine. Because they might not. It's a very, very weird thing that, you know, missing a big old portion of your career, especially, you know, comparatively late into it. Am I going to retire? Am I going to not retire? What's the plan? Somebody to come in, give them a bit of a hand, put an arm around them, whatever that may look like. I think, again, yeah, it's the kind of thing, it's that immersion, isn't it? It's that realism. It's like this player needs help for these reasons, and there should be somebody at your club that has the capacity to help them with that. I think that's a really good shout, Stakey. I like that a lot. We've had there have been some excellent ideas this evening. There've also been some terrible ideas, mostly from me, but that is one of my absolute favorites. I really, really rate that one.
Well, I like that one as well, Stakey, because again, that's the sort of thing. If you think when you get like the email come through of like an 18-year-old, one of your youth prospects, and it's like they've done their cruciate, they're out for 7 to 8, and we all look at it and go, well, never mind, mate. No, enjoy not having a career. Having that sort of psychologist who could help them sort of maybe not be exactly the same player, but you know, you sort of they help bring them back a little bit to play, and they're like, okay, they've lost a bit of potential, but they're still going to be a good player somewhere, and they can still do things. Or yeah, I think that would be a really good thing to include into your back room, just to make your team mentally stronger. Could help with like team cohesion and stuff as well, and all of those sort of parameters, your dynamics.
So yeah, it would, because you know you've already got the you know, you've got your squad dynamics, haven't you? You've got the influential players. You know, you've got the people, the dressing room leaders. And again, it's the kind of thing that if we're gonna, and again, already if that's happening in terms of they're putting kind of, you know, a hierarchy in terms of, you know, mental fortitude, influence, however you want to put it in that back room, that should also be something that you're able to assist players with as well. Like if players are struggling with that kind of thing, there should absolutely be somebody who can try and improve on that. You know, there always used to be, you see your core social groups. And it's like, well, what if these players are struggling to fit into the core social groups? Bring in somebody into backroom staff that's going to help them do that. You know, whatever that may look like, whatever they need to do to integrate themselves in or to be included and become part of that cohesive unit of players. And then that's going to be translated to how they're playing on the pitch. Let's give somebody the option to bring in people that can help do those kinds of things, even if it's just somebody who's coming in and teaching them all the Gen Alpha words. You know, if you've signed 3 Argentinian wonder kids and they just turn up the training ground to go, hey, skibbity toilet, and everyone's like, yeah, and then everyone just dances for like an hour. We have a great time. Everyone's already happy. That's that would be Pog. There you go. I'm thriving. I'm doing so well at this. I don't know if I've just said that means it's good. I don't know if that's a slur. I'm not that up to date with it, but
no. Our target audience is expanding now. It's great.
Oh yeah.
All the new players of the game.
Yeah.
Welcome
absolutely. Absolutely. Come on in, guys. The water is
old.
Lit.
Fam.
Good times.
The water is fam.
No, lit fam.
Oh, lit. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, you major L vibes off it.
Yeah.
D.
The vibes are no
you've
longer
arguably
immaculate.
Got the most Gen Z name of all of us, D boy.
Branding, it's important. It's vitally important, isn't it? And I think we've hit the nail on the head with ours this week. I think we've done really, really well. If this is the first time you've listened to the podcast, it's always like this. This is just who we are as people. Terminally online, that's us. You know how it be. God, I'm so tired. I don't want to say these words anymore. Thanks, Jeb. You've started something awful. I appreciate it though.
You have.
You
started this. You did. No, it's all.
No, I refuse to accept responsibility for anything that's happened this evening, and will continue to not do so. Before, I think, if I'm honest with you, lads, I think that very much feels like a podcast. Before no, does it not?
No, because I've got 12 names written down here.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Names of what?
Football players and how much they cost to get messages from them in a Gen Z style. If you want it that way, you can do.
Can we have it in a Gen Alpha style, please?
I guess we could. What are we doing?
Before we do that, then let's play the cameo game.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Okay. That's simple. Cameo. Oh, there you go. That's the intro done. Okay. Right. We'll do closest to the pin first, and then I'll give you some. Do it that way. So we'll start with. We got that. Radio 5 Live pundit, former Birmingham Crystal Palace, maybe played at Wednesday as well. Clinton Morrison. Just Sky as well, didn't he, actually? Yeah.
He did play at the Wednesday. He absolutely did.
I'll let you put the opening bid in, Rich.
£37.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That was genuinely exactly what I was thinking. I'll go 36. I'm going to Price is Right you.
Oh, you absolute rat.
I know. To be fair, we're three people who are screwed because all Steak has to do is put it higher. So unless you've got it exact, you're
by
£1. Or he could Price is Right.
I could do 37 here and be like, I think Clinton believes in himself, and I think he's like £70, £71.99 specific.
Wow.
Jeb's doing maths, which means that I think it's between me and Steve.
I'm not doing maths. I'm just adding one more to the name. Right, there we go. £34. D starts. Yeah, £34. Right, the way this is going to work, you pick a number between 1 and 12, and I come to you, and then we'll go from that player. So you could do quite well. So 1 to 12.
I'll have 11, please, Mr. Jeb.
Okay,
well, I'll have 10 then. So one less.
No. Shut up, Rich. Thank you. Shut up on your own podcast. Thank you. You give major L vibes, right? Nathan Ellington, former Wigan striker. I think he was quite good in FM as well. Was he?
I've interviewed Nathan Ellington.
Oh, he played West Brom, didn't he? Actually,
he did. That's why I interviewed him. Yeah.
Did how much he costs on Cameo come up during the interview?
Weirdly, no. I'm gonna go for £29.
You just do higher or lower now. That's it. So lower, yes.
Oh, it's lower. So yes, it's lower.
Yep, £25. So there you go. 1 point. I'm going to mark down the point this time. So that's D's got a point. Right, we'll go clockwise.
Ciao.
Steaky. 1 to 12. 11's already gone.
3.
3. Former Everton and West Ham player. Former Golden Boot winner, I think, as well. Tony Cottee.
Oof. Oh, Tony Cottee. It's giving higher.
You disqualified.
Oh.
Yeah, you get a point there. Well done.
Yes.
Rich.
Hello.
Hi.
Have I got to pick a number?
Yes. 1. Ray Parler.
How much was Tony Cottee?
Tony Cottee was £44.
Oof.
£44.
More than Clinton.
Ray Parler, he of lovely hair, or not so lovely hair, depending on your viewpoint on curls.
Depending on your opinion, opinions on hair.
And poodles.
He's got he's got big Riz energy. Higher.
Very big Riz energy. £100. Everyone's got a point so far.
Jeez.
£100 for Parler. Rip off. Absolute rip off.
D-Boy.
I will take number 7, please.
Ooh, former Middlesbrough, Liverpool, and Barcelona player. Can anyone guess who this is? Just off those 3 clubs.
Oh, Jonathan Woodgate?
That's Real Madrid, right?
Real Madrid.
Yeah,
Real Madrid.
yeah.
I had a complete brain fart.
I'm not even going to bother with this one. Gazika Mendieta.
Oh, yeah.
Ah,
My next guess.
yeah.
Let's go Woodgate first. I'm going to go lower.
To be fair, he wasn't Liverpool. I'm thinking of Bolo Zenden. But there we are.
Oh.
Those weird Middlesbrough players from the 2000s. Yes, you are correct. £38. The same as somebody else that isn't on this list. So, yes.
Nice save.
Yeah, exactly. Steaky.
Is 10 left?
Yeah.
10 then, please.
10. A former Chelsea striker. And isn't he a chaplain or like a pastor or something weird? Gavin Peacock. He left. I'm sure he left the BBC to go to the church. Somebody Google this. Higher or lower?
I mean, it's the
Only
fourth
that,
option
not
when
how
you
much it
Google
costs
him.
on Cameo. Yeah.
When you Google him, the fourth thing that comes up is Gavin Peacock, pastor of the Calvary Grace Church of Calgary.
There you go.
Calgary.
There you go. Yeah.
Not Calgary.
Wow.
Interesting.
Caligari. Yeah. Anyway,
Yes.
stop
Calgary-
Googling him. Stop cheating.
Sorry.
Calgary Glen Ross. No.
Higher or lower than 38, was it?
Yep.
I think he's lower. He's lower.
£55. You're wrong, Steaky. You're wrong.
Wrong. No.
Yeah, wrong.
How much of that goes to the church?
I know, exactly. Yeah. Unbelievable. Rich.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you, Jeb. What numbers are left? Give me a rundown.
Not 10, 11, 7, and 1 and 3.
I'll take 2 then, please.
2. Bobby Zamora.
Ooh.
When a
Big
ball
name
hits
is
your red
Bobby.
and your satin rose head, that's some more.
Bobby Zamora.
He played
and
for
what was the
loads of
previous?
teams, didn't he?
He played for all the clubs, just all of them.
£55. No, he didn't actually play for
55.
that many. No, he didn't.
It feels like he did. He feels like a footballing journeyman. Does Big Bobby?
Bristol Rovers, Brighton twice, Tottenham, West Ham, Fulham, and QPR. 2
Well, there you go.
appearances for the England national team as well.
Did he?
Yeah.
So Bobby Zamora got England caps.
Oh,
well,
Bob.
well
Yeah.
done, Bobby. Hey,
Proud of
good
him.
for him.
Did he score?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go lower.
You're correct. £33.
£33. That's a bargain for Zamora.
D-Boy, 100% so far.
12? Is 12 available?
Yeah.
I'll have 12, please, dear.
Kev's favourite ever Manchester United player. Premier
Harvey
League winner.
Barnes.
No. Premier League winner. Once dropped the top of the trophy on his head. GigaChadwick.
Oh,
The Chadders. Absolute GigaChadwick. What is higher or lower than what? Sorry,
£33.
I'm gonna go higher, Mr. Chadwick.
You're completely wrong. It's £18.
Bargain. Absolute bargain.
He wasn't the cheapest one that I got either. Oh, yeah, right.
Oh no.
Exactly. No, it wasn't the cheapest one that I got when I got all the other ones. Kevin Campbell was surprisingly cheaper. Rest in peace. Right. Steaky.
9, please.
9. Football manager, could almost say royalty. Former Derby central midfielder and now plays for Man United under 23s, Tom Huddleston.
Higher than 18, isn't it? Yes, I'm going to go higher. I feel like this is a free hit. I hope it's a free hit.
It is a free hit. £41. Yep.
Nice. Back in the game.
I used to work with a lad that swore. This was his hill that he was willing to die on. Is that Tom Huddleston was the future of England's midfield? Like, he swore blind. Bearing in mind at the time, Tom Huddleston was about 33 years old, but he was refusing to let it go. So no, honestly, he's what we're screaming out for in the middle of the park.
He was a really good DM, AM, MC. That's not Riz
There you
talk.
go.
That's just football manager positions.
That's just
Yeah,
football
you can just
manager
play-
positions.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this
Riz
is moved
talk
to
with
DJing.
So 4, 5, 6, or 8.
The Ocho, please. I'll take number 8.
Former Chelsea. Actually, was it Sheffield United as well? I think he was. Tor Andre Fleur. Fleur.
Tor Andre Fleur.
Fleur.
What was the previous? Was Huddleston 44?
41.
41. So every penny counts.
He
in
wasn't
this
at
game.
Sheffield United. I think it was his brother. He was at Leeds, Rangers, Sunderland. He was at MK Dons for a bit as well.
I'm going to go lower.
He's higher.
Is he?
Yeah. This makes the last round very exciting.
Ooh.
Because everyone's on 2. D. 4, 5, or 6.
Okay, in the middle, please. I'll have 5. Thank you.
Rich?
Chris Waddell. Disco, Sminky Pinky.
I thought you were going to say Butros Ghali then. I was like, oh, that'll be good.
Cumulus Nimbus.
So it's Chris Waddle.
Yes.
It's Chris Waddle.
Higher or lower than
£55.
Oh, I am going to go lower, please.
He's higher. £64.
Ah. 64.
64.
That's a bargain. That's a bargain.
Steaky. 4 or
Yes.
6.
4, please.
Former Chelsea striker.
Again.
QPR, maybe? I think you go QPR. He's really fast. Loic Remy.
Oh,
Oh, it was dead fast.
Dead fast. Ridiculously fast.
So quick.
Yeah.
Higher or
Unfair how
lower?
fast he was.
oh, lower.
You're correct. 41.50. Steak goes into the lead. £41.50. Chris Waddle's 1990 World Cup teammate. Him with the bandage on his head. Terry Butcher.
Could set your watch to that bandage. Now. I'm overthinking. Everyone else has gone just on vibes, based it on vibes. Now I'm thinking, and I've done myself a mischief here because on the one hand, iconic big bloody bandage round his head. Everyone knows about Terry Butcher, but on the other hand, does he know what the internet is and does he value it?
Hmm.
Lower.
Cool, well done, Steak. You've won. It was 89.
Woo!
Well, it's Stakey.
He does value
Well
the
done.
internet. Well done, Steak.
How much is Terry Butcher then? Go on. Put me out my misery.
£89.
Jeez!
Oh, crikey, that head injury was more severe than I originally thought. Good Lord. Well done, Stakey.
It's £11 cheaper than Ray Parlour.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Still paying off gambling debts he owes to Paul Merson.
Do you think Terry
Allegedly.
Butcher puts a bandage on every time for each one, though? That's why it's
He must do. He must
But
do.
it's that bandage. It's just horrible and rotting.
That's why it costs so much. He's just constantly having to replenish on. No,
it's that exact bandage.
Or the same one.
Thing is, though, because he has to clash heads with whoever's next to him just to. Cause it can't justify, especially if it's a clean bandage. Oh God, no. There you go. Well done, Stakey. Well, now there you go. That very much cements my feelings that this is a podcast because I've lost a game. So I think that's how we normally end, isn't it? That's a good feeling. Fellas, before we start to wrap it up, if the people would like to watch you, we'll start with you, Stakety Bakety. If people would like to watch you on the internet streaming video games, where can they find you doing so?
On Twitch, _steak_bake, and on everything else, I'm just the Steak Bake. So YouTube, Twitter, all of that jazz. If you want to keep in touch, and please do. I will be back this week now that I'm recovered from my horrible lurgy.
Good. He's back in the room. Super duper. Looking forward to it. Jeb, what about you? If people want to watch you streaming Football Manager and all the other things that you stream, where can they find you doing so, Paul?
I'm not on this week, so twitch.tv/ycallum on Tuesday and Thursdays, probably at 9 p.m. when he's going to be talking really quietly about his house safe. Because he's got to be quiet because he don't want to wake anyone up. Yeet! I'm out.
Wow.
For God's sake, don't wake everybody up, Callum, because if people are awake, it's really hard for me to sneak in and start kissing them on the eyes. Don't do that, because I've got W Riz. D, people would like to watch you streaming Football Manager, amongst other things. Where can they watch you doing that?
They can find me over on twitch.tv/dboyplays. That's DEEBOI plays.
Super duper. They'd be foolish to not watch you. And if you want to watch me, twitch.tv/RichOwensFM. You'll find me nights of the week streaming Football Manager, including Monday nights, with all of the wonderful people you see on the screen here. Because we are Football Manager Therapy Network Gaming, baby. The other network game. This is the network game your parents don't want you to watch because it happens late at night, where we're all quite tired. It's great. You should watch it. It's good. We have a good time. One of us scored 42 goals last stream.
There's actually 44, but you know.
Oh, sorry. So I do apologise. One of us scored less. Yeah.
One of us made us played out the entire transfer deadline day because he said it on a previous podcast. Thanks, Rich.
Yeah, you're welcome, lads. Anytime.
Yeah, glad I went to bed at 1:30 last Monday. Yeah, it's great. I felt really good getting up at 6 to drive to London. Cheers.
It was worth it.
It made
any time.
really easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Any
Peace out,
time,
fam.
lads. Stop being so chalant. Good. Right. That was a podcast. That was another episode of Football Manager Therapy. Thank you so much for joining us, for watching, for listening, for narrating it to the person you're sat next to on the bus. However you are consuming this podcast, we appreciate you enormously. Thank you ever so much. And hopefully we'll see you next week for the next episode. It's been an absolute bloody pleasure. Thank you all very much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Love you lots. Bye-bye.